Charlie with his linguini charting. He loses sometimes, but hardly. He's BTC Charlie. But now he's GBP Charlie. It doesn't matter what he's charting. His trading is tough, but it's not all that bad with Charlie. He's got memes in the morning and more in the evening. It's Charlie. And when trading gets hard and support starts to lean, search Charlie. He's BTC Charlie with his linguini charting. He loses sometimes, but hardly. He's BTC Charlie. But now he's GBP Charlie. It doesn't matter what he's charting. His trading is tough, but it's not all that bad with Charlie. He's got memes in the morning and more in the evening. It's Charlie. And when trading gets hard and support starts to lean, search Charlie.
Alright, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How's everyone doing? We go for a bit of synth. Dark cyberpunk synth this evening. Good morning, hush 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 hush. Hello, Montubiada? Scamchad1337, hello. Devil Wears Kappa, love it. Oh, hey Richard, how are you, man? Cats give flying lessons, of course. Magus, go fuck yourself with your remotes. Not sure if I get banned for that, but it's worth it. Totally worth it. Yeah, my emotes are probably not as well done. Que sera. I blame my boomerism. Hello, Turdy Fla. Edward 66666. Too many sixes, my friend. Charles Dellinger. Hello. What a serious name. I'd probably buy a mortgage off you with that kind of sophisticated name. How are we all doing this fine Tuesday? He says in a questioning voice. Are we all well? Are we all winning? Are we all enjoying the bull market of the 12th of September 2023? Hello, Frat and Roughnut. Hope you've traded this glorious move the full extent that it deserves, and you are now welcoming the short back down to 0. Who's bullish now? Who's bullish? Who's bearish? Let's get some sentiment analysis in the chat so I can fade it. I mean, joking. Morning, Trader Frank. Thank you for the retweets, my friend. Don't think I don't notice these things, eh? And Richard as well. I see it. I see you boys retweeting. Hey, Jan Hardvig, let's go. So yes, are we all bullish? Are we all bearish? Are we all just doomed to this range? What's your views? Don't all type at once. Right, well, I'll just jump into it then. Yeah, for me, nothing has really changed. We are still in a pretty ranging environment. Yes, this was a nice quote-unquote deviation. This move up, I managed to get long on some shitcoins, notably BCH and TRB. The big rejection up here, I am currently short from 26 something or other, 26.3 something I think. So basically this move up into the high that basically got instantly rejected. I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't top tick, and nowhere near that. I caught it quite a bit lower. But I managed to get some reasonable size on it, and I am currently short. So as is standard for whenever I stream, really, I seem to come into it with a position, having not had positions for days, and then yes, have to kind of look to my left to manage it pseudo on stream. We're all here. Good. It's just the start. We're going to 100k. Lovely. Full retrace. Oh, look at that. What I love is two comments next to each other. One is we're going to 100k. The next is full retrace. Straight to 0. Yeah, to be honest, all I would be normally looking for is some form of decline in... some form of deviation in terms... Oh, deviation? What is wrong with me? Sorry, I'm a little bit flustered today. It's one of those days where I've probably been firing on all cylinders for a few hours, and Boomer Charlie doesn't know how to handle it. It's actually been an action-packed day. I think I'm getting too old if a bull market actually came for me to sit at the desk for 12 hours a day and trying to be catching every single rotation. But obviously, if those conditions did come back, we would kind of have to. So yeah, I would be looking for just some simple RSI divs just to see if there's actually any, decent changes or early warning signs of momentum and get out of this short, essentially. For me, I think we spoke about it on last stream actually, because someone asked me why I've got that shitcoin in my kind of setup and watch list, and it was always if there's any form of ETF news, or maybe it was a Paragon Outlook, I don't know which one, but definitely in one of them I was talking about these two, BCH and BSV. If you hear anything or you see something on BTC that is, particularly bullish around that whole ETF narrative, that these will probably come back into play. And the only reason I had that bias is because last time that happened, right? Last time BCH did that absolutely incredible move. So if we jump to BCH chart, when big BTC started becoming back in play back here, BCH just absolutely tore a new one. Now you can see the kind of diminishing returns of those cycles, right? The kind of classic bouncing ball metric. Whether this is a fade here, I'm personally not going to take it, purely because I prefer shorting parabolic moves, and this is, I suppose it's probably low time frame, vaguely a parabola, but I would look to short up here if I could get anything. Just that simple confirmation of change in market structure. There's a lower high, and failure to break above this point here. So that's a kind of actionable trade setup should there be that move, but obviously you'd probably get a nice little rotation first. Range bound and tilt charts show something else. I do like that approach. I mean, that's the thing for me, is that if you go back to BTC, we're still in this range. Yes, incredible move, incredible strength, and it kind of reminds me on a higher time frame, obviously, of this back here, where actually, we had a deviation, we had a reclaim, and it was kind of the start of some form of strength. But the big difference is obviously this time outside of this range here, and the strength of this move, i.e. no pullback. So, yeah, maybe not. Maybe a piss poor example. And yeah, like literally it's just correcting. But you know, if we can hold this 25-8 level, then yeah, maybe we get a play to range high at least. And I would only be looking to get in that on some form of divs, like I said. Like if you look from a momentum perspective, you know, you've got divs on the 15-minute, you've got 15 divs going across here. You know, it's not perfect because it's not 14 periods, but you've got very, very clear divergences in momentum, right? Price going up, momentum going down each time on those drives. So, you know, unless we start seeing some form of reaction here, or maybe even as far as sort of down here, then this is a fairly comfy short. It's quite upbeat and pumpy, this. As Sark said, entry at 163rd floor of the cartel's 7th Burj Khalifa. Yeah, it's quite funny actually, the whole Burj Khalifa meme, because it is, you know, so prominent on some of the charts. I mean, I had a very good short on Perp, and I will always call it Perp because I'll never forget when it was listed on FTX. I was like, what the fuck is that? But you know, sold it for absolute pittance. But yeah, I've still got it on there. Like, oh, it's actually slowed down a little bit. But you know, these are absolutely incredible. Like, I still find it bizarre that people complain about these markets. And you know, I did what I thought was a pretty good tweet the other day, which is, you know, my brother in Christ, you're the one making the trades. Like, if you cannot trade a market that's giving you 200% to the upside and then 50% to the downside, like in terms of volatility across what's that, a 1 week, 1 and a bit week period, like, I don't know. Maybe trading isn't for you. It's you know, that kind of movement is an absolute gift. And there's been loads of them, right? There was Spell today, I think it was. Yeah, Spell. Yeah, look. Spell just absolutely ripping assholes this morning. It's just, you know, literally, Cartel decides to pump it and off we go. A nice 30% move, whatever it is. But not that you're going to cap it low to high, right? But still, even if you were sort of longing the reclaim and break of first consolidation, like that's a decent 20%. There's a lot of volatility to kind of get after. Scam pump, scam dump, scam dump. Then hell boring range. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What's my RSI indicator called? It's a Paragon Group one, but it's not too different from, is it ZCX? KZX. Not too different from that one. Might even be 90% similar. Good evening, Kaz001. Smelled something funny on Long BCH? I like it. Hello, DocXPT, my friend. How are you? Dyson versus Roomba. What? Dyson versus Roomba. I don't get it, mate. Is that like a wrestling joke or something? Found an up-only ticker, PWR. Let's have a look. PWE? Close. Is this a shitcoin? Are you on about this? Yeah. Or are you actually meaning a stonk? There are plenty of stocks in the Wellness Center. Oh, that looks... that's epic. That looks like a honeypot, doesn't it, really? Especially this bit here. What do these guys do? Fucking hell. Quanta Services. Jeez. Jeez. I mean, there's a lot of talk actually on the timeline about people trading stonks over over Bitcoin and crypto, and I kind of don't blame them. There's probably better liquidity. They probably respect levels a little bit more instead of just being high beta assets to BTC. The big thing for me though is that I can't really come weekly. That is fucking epic, isn't it? That is actually more redonkulous than half of these shitcoin charts. It's fucking great. That's gotta be one of my favourite charts. What on earth do these guys do? Do you know what I mean? Like, just a casual Forex. Hello, Giga Chads and future billionaires. Hello, the Moon Kyle, disguised as QWERTY. Bitcoin bouncing. Well, not majorly. But, you know, it's actually moved, which is, you know, a strong positive. So I'm not going to sit there and. Oh, there's a little 1 minute div. Nice to see you. Hello, with strength. That's nice. I could watch the tape, but I can't really be asked not to do it on stream. Why does Arb look like banana? Yeah, that whole drama, man. Sheesh. This is just, this is like peak bear market stuff, right? Just full of drama. Absolutely full of drama. Right, where are we going? Where are we going after BTC? Where does ARB look like a banana? I think we talked about ARB again last week, and maybe another 1 minute chart. Yeah, a lot of these coins just look like utter dog shit, right? Like alt strength has just been almost non-existent. Today's been the first day really when rotations outside of maybe TRB have been particularly worth playing. So for me, like, without any form of alt strength, it's difficult for me to trade. I can trade BTC, but I just don't particularly like it anymore. And the risk reward for me is far lower because I can get a plus EV trade much easier when I am longing high beta shitcoins. So I find that a lot easier to trade than I do BTC. I occasionally obviously play BTC setups, particularly like the one earlier, the short I'm currently in. You know, when there's quite a few confluent factors lining up and telling you that actually this is probably due a reset. So even if it's, you know, just a kind of pure 50 move under, reclaim, and actually it carries on going from here, absolutely fine. But caught a nice little move regardless. I actually think crypto is cleaner to trade as it's open 24/7. Way more fluid as stock close and open at different times. Yeah, but there's also a massive blessing in that, right? In that you're not addicted to your computer, your phone, your, you know, whatever, 24/7. So one of the things I'm massively jealous of stonk traders of is that they actually get to switch off at some point. Whereas, I don't know about with you guys, like, I check my phone a pretty unreasonable amount probably in social situations. I don't necessarily care about price. I'm not like checking my portfolio, so I did back in 2020, 2021, I was checking price all the time, and, you know, oh, I'm up 1%, or I'm down 2%, or I'm up 5%, or whatever on my portfolio, and, you know, checking it far too much. But nowadays I don't give a shit, but that's, I think that comes with experience. And wow. I know people say human greed means the bull market will return in many places. It's becoming harder to buy crypto. In the UK, my bank limited deposits of £10,000 each month, or into crypto. I mean, that's That's still a pretty reasonable sum to put into crypto, I think. If everyone smacked 10 grand in it, we'd be alright, wouldn't we? But yeah, no, it is. And am I still short on DYDX? No, absolutely not, unfortunately. I don't think I've been short on DYDX for a while. No, close that. We talked about it on last stream though, didn't we? Feels like a lifetime. Kraken has high deposit limits. Oh, there you go. Good morning, S19 Dominic. So yeah, for me, kind of that BTC play is kind of done and dusted. It's actually reasonable reaction here. Let's just... I'll show some off of this. Just take some money off the table. Just put some limits in places. Excuse me one moment, caller. Your call is important to us. There we go. But yeah, like that's... I'll take a little bit off that and we'll see where it goes. You know, for me, nothing really changes on a higher time frame basis until we start moving above, you know, here at least kind of 26,450-ish, and you can just see it right in terms of this. Like once we start clearing this, then actually we've got a pretty nice move to be had potentially to the upside. So longing here, for example, is more beneficial to me in terms of expected value than longing here. You know, it's a reasonably nice pullback, but yeah, I think we'd probably see a bit of chop and grind. You know, today's news fund has probably played out, and yeah, that's my kind of take on it. I would rather long from slightly higher and let the market cool off a little bit than being eager to rush into quote-unquote the next trade, particularly after a good day of trading, because, you know, these days where you've got basically 3 coins that have done very, very well, excluding Spell, which I don't, you know, is a complete outlier, compared to BTC, and actually I've traded 2 of them. That's pretty good. It's a good day. My thoughts on Guise? So I really like Guise as a, you know, I have a bag, blah blah blah. I thought it was a really good idea in terms of the way that it obfuscated transactions by sending them to multiple exchanges and then took a small fee. But I imagine the chart, like pretty much every on-chain chart, looks like utter dog shit at the moment. Also, CVS mentioned it's very reasonable to just get exposure to crypto via Coinbase stock. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Obviously talked about this at some point. I mean, the thing for me is that, I mean, a lot of people are like, well, coin's super bullish, and obviously we looked at that retest, etc., which didn't work out, and I don't trade stonks, right? So you kind of have to take my analysis of stonks with a pinch of salt. But for me, there's not much to be super bullish about until we actually clear this big red meme level, but, you know, 86, 87. And the reason is simple, like, this is the range. Like, you know, you might look back on it in years' time and find that this is the kind of PYR of stonks, or PWR, that's the one. You know, but it's like this, and actually, you know, this was all in the accumulation range, and blah blah blah. Do I think that's likely? No, of course not. You know, not financial advice, blah blah blah, but I would rather just buy close above that than I would just long it here. I've got no problem with buying into strength and managing my position size such that it is, you know, in line with a pretty, you know, meaty kind of move that I expect to gain. I expect to probably go up here if we break out, and actually from a market structure perspective, this is, you know, this is the market structure play, like that. You know, if that's the play, the trade you're taking, and you know you're on a higher time frame basis, then you're just managing that via position size, which could take some reasonable amount of time to actually play out. But yeah, I would rather do that. First time in a while, I'm not forgetting that the stream's on Tuesday. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I should probably announce it a little bit more, I guess, or have it as my pin tweet or some bullshit like that. But we'll see. Music banger. Thank you, Scream. Yeah, it's a little bit different today. I opted for something a little bit more more pumpy. So is anyone on Friend Tech? What are your views on Friend Tech? So I want to talk about Friend Tech for a little bit. Personally, I really like it. I like using it. I like using it as a consumer. I like using it as a creator. I think it's obviously got a lot of bugs to iron out. I think I don't see how people honour their agreements indefinitely. That is fair. I mean, I can see how they'll honour them for the next 6 months until the airdrop, essentially. But then you're right. It becomes a question of once you've got your airdrop, like I've got 3 or 4 of my own shares, right? And if I wanted to, I could dump those on people's heads for whatever it is, about $1,000, and probably infinite reputational damage. But the notion of it, I think, is very good. It's a Ponzi scheme. Exactly. It's an affiliate marketing Ponzi scheme. Yeah. You bought mine 2 days ago. What a legend. Shout out to Dominic. Let's go. That is where all the source goes. No, in seriousness, I'm actually going to create some content for the FT chat, particularly around spaghetti and trading spaghetti, because I've been meaning to do that video for a long time, the public version, but I thought, fuck it, I'll just do it for Friend Tech key holders, and of course the Paragon Group. See the potential of the top people are around 4 to 5 ETH. Sheesh. Yeah, that is one of the things, like a barrier to entry. You know, you're talking like whatever that is, you know, $8,000, you know, $8,000 to join a chat room. Like, it's quite steep. It's quite a lot. When I can just DM someone on Twitter. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I think there's some mispricings across the platform. But if you understand it and you understand the social value of things, then you know there's opportunities in terms of buying some of those accounts early before they pop off to at least 1 ETH and all that kind of stuff. Hello, Martin Nobby. I'm good, thank you. How are you, my man or woman or they? So yeah, it is a Ponzi in terms of, you know, you're all chucking money in and slowly getting taxed out of it. So, you know, you think exchange fees are bad, but actually, everything's a Ponzi. Yeah. Influencer-driven flywheel effect, which does push growth, to be fair, but realistically, how big can it get? Yeah. On the educational value and surround myself with good traders. Wow, you better own my key then. I'm joking, not a shill. Do what you want with your money. I will be posting stuff in there. I do post stuff in there. I do answer questions. But do what you want with your cash. But yeah, I get what you mean. How big can it go? I mean, the reality is that like OnlyFans, and I know that's a completely different set of, yes, content consumers. but they could migrate to it, and they could get essentially less fees, and you know, the whole content creation marketplace space globally is only kind of growing. You know, everyone wants a revenue share of their own content, I suppose. You know, even on Twitter, getting some reasonable paychecks just for shit posting is, you know, quite good. Needed this distraction. My dog died yesterday, so not in the best mood. Oh shit, sorry man, it's awful. As much as I joke about my little shit of a dog, I can't imagine. Guys, well, rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace. Sorry, I just ranting about Frentech. But yes, I think it's worth doing. I think it's worth doing on the basis of two things. One, I don't think you need to put that much ETH in it. And two, I think the airdrop points will be worth something reasonable. You know, I've seen all sorts of estimates flying around. I mean, I'd rather pay for a Paragon or Haven membership than connect, but I will just ignore the second one. And then connect my wallet to Frentech's garbage UI. that's kind of fair enough. The only upside to it, I suppose, is if you sit in, and you know, don't get me wrong, I think in 95% of cases you're going to get so much better service in a quote-unquote disgusting paid group than you would in a Frentech room. You know, personally, my priority is always going to be the Paragon, and I'm sure any other paid group leader would say the same. And they've also got the experience of delivering that content, right? That's a big thing, I think, is that a lot of traders who sit there and trade and shitpost like all day, then pivoting to educational content, it's actually tougher than you think, or at least it was tougher than I thought. You know, maybe it's just me being an idiot, but I genuinely think that change of, well, I understand it because I've done it for a long time, to this is how you can do it, is quite difficult. Be curious to what Hasaka or Salience are showing there, but there is a limit. Yeah, I don't even know what their rooms are at now. They're probably like 3 or 4 ETH or something, which, I don't know, arguably you can make it back in one trade, but yeah. You know, I was looking at Hasaka at 0.5 ETH or something, and I was just like, oh, I can't be asked to bridge more ETH over to Arbitrum Chain or whatever it is. But there you go. I still think it's worth playing around with, especially if you do have a small following. But anyway, we move on from the Frentech rant. I think the airdrop will create a whole new thing of, you know, depending on how they do the allocation. So, you know, everyone's like, oh well, you know, the points are going to be useful at some point. Yeah, but they haven't said if the points are going to be worth like 5% of the supply. So there's 100 million points, great. Let's say I get 1 million, so I get 1% of the total supply of points. Well, that might only be 1% of the total supply, so I've got 0.01% of supply. But all that hard work on Frentech. Yeah, you just don't know. It's all a huge speculation, as is most of this. So, yes. And then that amount, you know, might not be worth the effort you're putting in. But we'll see. They've got a very good tax farm on their hands, so I don't see why you'd try and milk the shit out of the token, to be honest with you. You get 5% of every transaction, which is fucking mental. Excuse my French. But yeah, where do you want to go now, boys and girls? We're looking at ETH still? Because ETH still looks fucking disgusting. I think this is the other thing for me. Is that, like, that's not great. That's not great. I know it's a couple of lines on a chart. But really, a rejection from essentially previous support after a strong breakdown. You really want to see that reclaimed for alts to get a little bit spicy and a little bit bullish, and to be starting to think about deploying in any form of spot bags, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, risk reward is is pretty reasonable on some of these alts, which we'll go through in a bit, but you know, risk and reward does not equal expected value. Rather just short Matic to 0, easy to do. I like your style, my friend. Fuck me, that is it. That was obviously the last time I tried to long it. Jesus H Christ. Because I've not looked at Matic in a while. It's just not good, is it? Yeah. Absolutely savage. But, you know, obviously the downside of shorting sometimes is you get absolute face rippers like this. You can obliterate your asshole, but then same for ones, right? WorldCoin can catch a bounce. Mega New King coming. Potentially. I was looking at World earlier. I saw the I saw the Saka tweet, but I've also been keeping an eye on it. Generally. Maybe I was... There it is. Because if we start seeing like a bit of a reclaim and some momentum divergences, then I could be tempted to punt along, but there's kind of nothing just yet. Like that as a div is just fucking... If that's that across there, that there is just, with that move, it's just, no, can't really take that. But yeah, in a similar way that we all shat on Aptos, and we continually shat on Aptos, if you remember at the start of the year, you know, there will be a time where this is a great long, in my opinion. Not financial advice, Dio, etc. Just so that I don't get fucking crybabies saying that I got liquidated on a 1 second chart, Charlie, because you said at one point there'll be a good WorldCoin trade. Now, you know, Arb listed and basically went fucking, just get that shit candle out. Little pump, and then just literally down only, and then, even during the range, you know, it basically failed to sweep before my eyes and just fucking died off, right? But when it started going, it just absolutely ripped faces. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to do that, right? I certainly have no preconceived notion that it's going to do whatever that was, like a 4.5x. But, you know, can it rip 100% move? Yeah, probably. You know, we've seen moves like that happen on, you know, across the board, so I think there will be a time and a place for it, and I think that a lot of people will be happy with their 2 to 3% scalps on it, and a lot of people will kind of underestimate that move when it comes. But, you know, am I going to pre-position into it? Absolutely not. Will I have it on my spaghetti and be looking out for it? Absolutely. Do I think that shorting it right here is a good trade? Absolutely fucking not. But that's just not me. That's not, you know, I don't want to short lows for continuation where there's like no technical reason to just short this, if that makes sense. Wait, ApeCoin is around $1? What the fuck? Yeah, man. Yeah. ApeCoin has been down only since basically forever. Yeah. Since January. I might tweet that actually. Are the Bored Apes okay? Question mark. That's ugly if it reclaims 0.5, might pump one. Yeah, I mean, I think this is the thing that I think I've talked about on every single stream, is that I think a lot of people underestimate cycles, and they underestimate the fact that a lot of these projects have had their cycles, and that's it then done, right? There's no huge saving grace, and actually the amount of projects that have one cycle and go from like 1 to 5 million market cap and then to, you know, 100 million or something like that, and then come back for another one is very few and far between. And on that basis, you are almost always better off trying to invest or park your capital in newer projects. Although he says that, you know, things like Banana Gun, we'll see. You know, jury's out on that one. Turn the music off, friend? I can't turn the music off, mate. I need the music to concentrate. I need the music to sort my whatever it's called out. ADHD. Not that I have it, but I will claim to have it for the purposes of keeping music on. Is it too loud, AJLF? But yeah, I mean, time to short this was a long time ago. Do you know what I mean? It's I'm not shorting this at the lows. So just thinking about like next trades and next thesis. But this is my point around bag holding and not taking profits and doing all that kind of stuff. Like everyone tells you that you should always leave a moon bag. Like I do agree with that, but that should be like 10% of your, you know, position after you've 10, 20, 30x your gains, which I make it sound very easy, but it's obviously not. But yeah, like projects tend to trend towards zero over a long enough time horizon. Music keeping the voices quiet? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, just back to your question around WorldCoin and Mega Nuking coming, quite possibly, but I don't want to position into a short at the lows, if that makes sense. You know, you're in validation, I guess. You could just play it like level to level and just start trying to short like into this and you know, some form of invalidation up here, but in my opinion it's just not very clean. Or just trying to take this like 15-minute price action as like a mini range and playing that, you know, this is the range high essentially, and looking for a sweep and a failure and, you know, acceptance back in, etc., to add more size and just, you know, aggressively position into it and clip in multiple times with smaller size and then watch it kind of go down. But yeah, honestly, I would rather just wait for the right opportunity to long it, to be honest with you. You know, we've taken these lows. If we start pushing up and actually getting some form of relative strength, then I imagine we would do a pretty nasty move to the upside at some point. So it's just one to kind of have on your radar, and just I'm going to move that up actually. We'll just put that like that, and we'll go through it at some point. 39 projects excluding Bitcoin and ETH with a bull market cap is absurd. Is that... Oh, thank you, AJ. Everything off to study. 39 projects excluding Bitcoin and ETH with a bull market cap is absurd. Why do you think that that's absurd? Is that absurd in a positive way? As in, wow, look at how many projects we've got over a billy? Or it's absurd as in this market is worth so much more, itty bitty at 1521? Have I got any long-term bags I'm planning on? So, yes. I've always got a stack of Bitcoin and ETH. I think I mentioned it earlier in the stream, and I talked about it a lot on Friends Tech actually, around building a long-term portfolio and how my portfolio looks. You know, I have very limited exposure to crypto right now, but I kind of don't consider my spot Bitcoin and ETH bags as like my portfolio, if that makes sense. They are just, you know, my Bitcoin is literally just a hedge against a currency debasement event. It's a reasonable enough size, but it's, you know, if I am right on the longer term view that Bitcoin gets adopted, you know, on a national level, and we start seeing ridiculous prices like 250, 500k per Bitcoin. Like, this isn't me being hyper bullish, right? This is me saying I haven't allocated 100% of my net worth to it and taken out a load of mortgages and credit cards and been like, right, let's fucking slam it all in. No. This is like a couple of percent of my net worth just chucked into Bitcoin and like left. And if it goes to zero, it goes to fucking zero. If it goes to, 250k, I'll cash 1 or 2 out. If it goes to, 1 million, then that's probably a job done. I think Gala have potential in gaming next cycle is on huge low. I think Gala is one of those coins that was ridiculously overhyped and overvalued. And when stuff goes through a huge, this is like real value, right? For most projects, they just ebb and flow, and they create new content, they onboard new users, and they do, you have a kind of pretty standard trajectory of growth. But what happens with things like Gala is the hype just massively inflates the valuation, and then when you realize what it actually is and that there is no value generation, you kind of get this. And yeah, maybe over time it kind of does this, and actually it kind of comes back into sync eventually with that realistic view of things. But any project that had a huge hype cycle, the difference between real value and hyperinflated value, kind of starting to look a bit dodgy, but we'll move away from that. Any project that had that in the past is probably going to have a lot of sellers who bought up here, even here, on the way down. I could say like here and here and just really go for it, but that's not. Now it looks even worse. But my point being that you've got a lot of potential sale pressure, and with Gala specifically, they had a very high fully diluted valuation, which is fine in theory, but actually they release tokens quite quick if my memory serves me well, which it might not do. And what you've got is this huge supply shock crashing down the market just constantly, because all the early investors who invested at like 1 million FDV are up like 1000x. So they want to clear their inventory as soon as they're allowed to, basically on a vested basis. So it's quite difficult. Too many projects have nothing to offer with such high market cap, in my opinion. Yeah, it's fair. I think I disagree with you on some of them, because I think we're actually seeing a really, really nice move into revenue sharing mechanisms. I think I ranted about this on my last stream, because I think any project that fundamentally shares fees or whatever form of revenue generation that they are using, membership costs or whatever, back to users holding a token, means that if that user base grows. So one thing for me for Friendtech that would be insanely bullish is if they had as part of their tokenomics the point holders get 50% of the supply, because that's the user base, right? And that supply you can stake and you can earn 2% of the 5% tax that they take as the dev team, essentially. So you've got this perpetual revenue generating model where not only are you now getting 5% of whatever is bought and sold of your room, but you are also getting a share of the total revenue generated by Friendtech, and it is being allocated back to you as a holder of the token. That perpetual Ponzi of inviting people and getting a room active and holding a large percent and staking a large percent of the supply, that flywheel is complete. And if a large percentage of the supply is locked up over here and there's only a small amount to trade on the market, well, guess what happens to price? And that whole Ponzi-nomics flywheel of tokenomic price appreciation, staking incentives, and reward for staking, like that in my mind is why I'm kind of trying to grind a little bit of Friendtech out. And what you'll have on listing on Friendtech, if they go by that model, and this is all big if, this is all big speculation, is you'll get a lot of people who will just fucking dump the shit out of their shares, right? Or the shit out of their points and maybe their shares as well. And with Ape, I remember this like it was yesterday. As soon as you get that high or low, like that is when I just went balls deep. It was at $7. I think it was $6.92 to be precise, but it was around $7, and my P&L was oscillating a huge amount of money in those ticks, and I was physically sweating, and then it just ran to like $9, and then I think it pulled back to about, pulled back to about 7.1, and then it basically ran up to $20 or something stupid. But yeah, I mean, I closed a lot of it there, but yeah, got the original position there, and then went again, but not with as much size. Yeah, like that will be probably the Friendtech dump schematic when it gets unlocked. Yeah, I think that's how it all kind of pulls together, if that makes sense. Cool, quite a few comments. Hello, hello. Just like Sol at 244. Yeah, Sol is Sol's one that I didn't have an extreme opinion to share, to be honest, on Sol. And we talked about it last week in terms of, you know, playing range breakouts, all that kind of stuff. But for me, I don't have an extremely bullish or bearish view on Solana. I think that it is naive to think that layer 1s will get their fair day in the sun. To be honest with you, I think if I just remove all this shit, you know, I don't think it is going to be a great trade. I know that lots of great traders are looking at it to be the easiest multiple that you are going to get, but I kind of just don't get it. I probably will buy a bag just to manage my emotional feelings, but I don't think it's the best investment ever. I don't think it's a safe 2, 5, 10x. Whatever, sorry to all the Solarians out there. Hello Harry, how's it going? Why not both, my friend? Beautiful mountsmanship there. Yeah, CS2 player actually. 3 balls, lovely, yeah. Bit of genital walls just to make it comfortable with CT. Why was I asked to verify my age? Why was I not asked to verify my age before into Extreme? Yeah, sorry. Hello, Thinking XBT. I don't know why you've got a cake next to your name, but I like it. Balls deep, son. Let's go. I thought like some choosing 2 or 3 projects like ARB, Sol, OP to make like 10x, but good solid projects. And I saw Gala and thought maybe. Yeah, I mean, you need to do your own research. I mean, it sounds stupid to say that, obviously, but if you think that Gala is going to go 10x, then by all means, you know, find a decent place to invest and do it and take that risk. You know, it's your risk to take at the end of the day. And that's one thing that I will say is that, like, try not to be swayed by people. Try to have intellectual discussions with them as to why they don't think XYZ is going to happen, and use that thought process to help your own, or, you know, challenge their thinking in terms of, well, this is how I see it. And you're quite welcome to walk away from that discussion and say, well, no, I see it completely different to you for whatever reason, right? Like, blindly following people will get you wrecked. OP will do well if you get bull run. Yeah, I kind of agree. Put on some Valdraken tunes? No. No, because that's probably all copyrighted and shit, and I'll get banned from Twitch, and then it'll mute all my wonderful speech. Have I covered TRB? Actually, I haven't really talked about TRB. I will cover it. In the realms of Dex shitcoins, are you currently looking at something? Ooh, I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about those anymore. Fucking hell. Yeah. I received 100% of the supply of every token I've ever talked about. There you go. Fucking hell. Do I have a public EMA cloud indicator? I think so. I think I do. I don't want to check it, because if I check my script settings, as I did before, it'll dox my phone number. And I don't want any of you people calling me. You can harass me, you can pay for the privilege and buy my friend tech key and do that. But not for free, not if I'm not getting $7 out of it. It's a bear market, alright? Don't judge me. Yeah, I thought I did. And if I don't, there's probably tons of them out there. Whoa, what the fuck is that? Ugh. It's an absolutely disgusting one for you. Make one of vomit, but there you go. They're all ugly. Yeah, I mean, you can probably customize them. I did have one. I can probably republish it. Oh, look at that. That's pretty. Of course it's pretty, because I did it. Lamau. Yeah. I'm not going to publish it or anything here, but yeah. That's right, isn't it? I do have this. I do have the XO Macro Trend Scanner. It's publicly available. So that's a 9 and 21 EMA, right? This chart here, that's 921. So you could just use this and just go 921. And okay, it's not quite as pretty in terms of the cloud and the fill, but it's principally the same thing. Oh, see? What it's doing is filling in the gap. So, there you go. That's free. Have I watched the new Top Boy series? No, I have not. Have I been working on a new script recently, or is there nothing really new? There's not. So there is. So I've been working on this, and what I've been trying to get this to do is one, tidy it up a little bit, because you know, it says BCH, not BCH perp, which just fucking irritates me. There's a bit of an overwrite issue, but I don't think anyone, if you look at any of these scripts, they all overwrite. The bit that I want to get it to do, which is really difficult to do because it's like a subscript within a subscript, is basically just at this point in time, go look at this, look at what's happening. Because when you look at this in here, it looks like a fucking mess, right? But if you look very closely in there, there is something that is moving, and it is like completely detaching itself from the gradient of the general curve. So most things are going like this, whereas that coin is going like that. And I want that to be highlighted. And that is quite difficult to do, because this is all anchored to a point in time, right? And I want it to be kind of giving me early warnings on that. And that's what I'm working on, but structurally, given that this script is quite slow anyway, so if I put it on a 5-second, it'll probably lag a bit anyway, because I'm streaming. But it's quite computationally heavy, as it should be, because it's screening what? No, it's not going to load on 5 seconds. Oh, it does on 15, happy days. So yeah, it's quite computationally heavy, but then obviously it is doing an awful lot in terms of what it's processing. So yeah, that's one thing I'm working on. In terms of other scripts and stuff, there's not huge amounts of other stuff that I want to do. Because this is the core of my trading strategy, to get to your question, unusual suspect. Like, I play alt rotation, so I am looking at spaghetti, I am looking at relative strength, low time frame, I am looking at market structure, I am looking at trend continuation, I am looking at where there are potential areas of interest from like a higher time frame as well. So, you know, Bitcoin trade up here, for example, you know, that's a high time frame thought process, mixed in with some low time frame divergences in terms of momentum, so around the 15-minute, and you kind of piece the story together. This is most likely going to be a rejection and a deviation. There's your trade, and off you go and back in. And you know, we didn't quite get down to this level, but still not a bad trade. And you know, that's kind of how I piece things together. The easiest trades for me are ones, and again I talked about it on on Frentech just to shill it again the other day, is stuff like this, right? So you've got this absolute nothing burger of price action. You've got this move of just a vertical like initiation on TRB, and then it just completely breaks free, and then you can start riding and trying to get a rotation and moving into that. So Spaghetti is just beyond powerful, in my opinion. Like, and that's why, you know, I try and trade Spaghetti a lot. And then there was another move, was it Friday? TRB. I think it was a really good example of something, but maybe it wasn't Friday. I get my days mixed up. Ah, yeah, it might have been Saturday. Yeah, this kind of very strong move, and then as soon as Bitcoin starts moving, it just dumps off. So that's how I'm doing it. And then obviously what I'm doing is, you know, if this was an altcoin, which I know it isn't, I fully appreciate it isn't, you would see that that was a high strength alt, right? And you know, I'm not going to be entering all the way up there, but I would see that this is a breakout. I would see that this is a high time frame, a relatively strong breakout, and I would be looking at a trade that looks like a short. Nope. Like, yeah, like this, at least to kind of that level. And then as soon as we start moving away from my entry, we start bringing this up, and we start not changing our entry, obviously, because I'm not averaging in. I try and take as much risk on as possible at the start, particularly on like a breakout trade. And then, or especially with a breakout trade with relative strength, I should say. And you know, then I will start moving my stop up, essentially, and just trend follow that up to try and get as much of that move as I possibly can. And typically, my equity curve will look like this. Bum, 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 a bit of meandering around, maybe not much, maybe a little dip, and then it'll look like that. So, you know, I do have a bit of drawdown typically, because I will take a couple of losing trades and my win rate isn't incredible, but when you catch a good rotation, it makes up for an awful lot of that. Does that make sense? I feel like explaining my trading style is often quite difficult, because a lot of people like to just have the very simple notion of, and it is combined with things like RSI divergences and obviously levels. So there's a controversial view that, you know, levels don't work and levels aren't interesting, but you know, I see price reject or deviate from levels like all the time, and it's hard for me to, and my mental monkey pattern recognition brain, to step away from the notion that, you know, there are levels, because quite frankly, you know, start looking at this and I just think there's clearly levels and points that you can have in your mind as a theoretical level to be interacted with, and where you think sellers are going to step in, and then when price does this like it did earlier and it just immediately starts turning around and losing momentum, you know, you're probably right, and that thought process of this is where sellers are going to step in, and they are stepping in, and now this looks like a really good short opportunity. That is quite fucking basic baby pip stuff, but actually it takes some balls to short what's been one of the strongest days in a while. Does that make sense? So it's a combination of things. Oui, chef. But there's also some real sauce in spaghetti. Real sauce. And I am going to cover that in a video that I'll probably record. Don't know if I'll record it tomorrow, it depends how volatile the market is, but I'll record it by the end of the week, and we'll get that out on Frentech or Paragon. Because there's so many little nuances that are just, once you look at it, you'll go, oh. Yeah, I've seen Leviathan actually, and I spoke to him I spoke to Leviathan about potentially doing a collab on it, but he kind of wanted to go down the Python route and do it quote unquote properly, whereas I quite like TradingView. But we might do something together because he's a sharp lad, really sharp lad. And he offered to help me with my version of it actually, but I quite valiantly ploughed on and got there in the end. But obviously he makes it look so easy. So yeah, shout out to him. He's a very good coder and a very good creator of indicators. Very good. I get it that the Spaghetti Indicator is new to you. Where do you find it? I don't think I can actually write this on YouTube, but it is there. You take that, and then you should be able to just create a copy of it, top right. But if not, the way to create it is literally just go add, compare symbol, and then start typing in what you want. And when you do that, and change your chart to a line chart, and use Bitcoin as the kind of default that you're looking at, and then you can go down, you can change the colors of them all, and you can do whatever with it really. It's quite simple, and there's a video on my YouTube if you are, because you're watching on YouTube. If you subscribe to my YouTube, though you don't have to do that first. I'm just baiting you into sub to me. There is a video way back in 2021 where I talk about how to set this up and how to kind of use it. But honestly, like, I couldn't trade without it. I don't think I could. I could trade on momentum divs, but it's fucking boring, and it's much lower EV doing that than finding a strong high beta play. Hey, could you please explain liquidity zone to me, please? No, sorry, mate. I don't trade using the ICT kill zones and all that kind of bollocks. I fully appreciate that there are some great traders who use those methodologies, so please don't think I'm mocking them. You know, I don't think they're any worse than beta plays or any worse than order flow or anything like that. You know, I fully respect anyone who can extract value out of the market on a consistent basis, but that is just not a concept that makes sense to me. What makes sense to me is strength leads to strength. These coins are good coins, and here is invalidation, and here is momentum. And when momentum starts to fade, that's when you start taking some money off the table. And when things really start to fade and you start getting divergences, well, that's when you think about closing your position and or taking the opposite side of the trade. So, you know, the question I always ask myself when I'm in a trade and I'm looking to exit it is, should I be taking the reverse of this trade at this point in time? E.g., closing BTC long, BTC short down here. You know, first question is really, should I be longing it? And taking, you know, the inverse of that, because we can see that there was, you know, a bit of a step back in momentum, not a clean div or anything like that, but probably not even on the 3 minute. No, not perfect. You know, should I be taking the other side of this trade and essentially playing that rotation from both sides? And the answer here was no. Cartels on TRB. Oh, we haven't really talked about TRB. And yeah, it really is. So there was this, which I think I explained in the group actually, is that I took a short here, and the reason I took a short here is it's exactly what I started talking about at the start of the stream around, was it BCH? Yeah, around this kind of setup here where you've got that confirmed lower high, and TRB had that confirmed lower high up here, and I shorted here. I actually shorted in low time frame price action that looked like this. So it was a strong sort of parabolic grind up, and then, which, you know, this is one of my bread and butter, strong parabolic grind up, sweep at the highs, and then instant rejection on, you know, pretty high participation, and that's where I got short in there. I actually, you know, clipped one in there, but that was my average short. And I went to bed with a stop up here and a take profit down here somewhere, and I woke up, where was it? I woke up here. I woke up like literally fully round tripped, a decent trade. But you know, you don't always get it right. I'm not gonna laugh that I do. You know, 8% in my favour and then by the time I woke up, we were literally here. I think I woke up there. The case and then it sold off again, and we were Gucci, but that was not the intent. That was not the intention. Yeah, I mean, TRB is just, if I delete all of this stuff, because I think you get the point of strong parabolic move. I mean, TRB has just been insanely strong. And it's been insanely strong for a little while. And yeah, you've kind of got previous highs as a nice potential pivot point if you did want to get short, but funding is absolutely whack on this one. I think it's like negative 1.5% or something. We had some fun games around funding payment time where people would long into it and then instantly bots would sell as soon as they collected that funding payment. So yeah, that could be a nice entry potentially. Look around for those games. Yeah, Lev is really good, but I'll stick to your version of Spaghetti. You really used to that? Yeah, I mean, my version is quicker as well. That's the upside to it, because it is part of... Sorry. Yeah, it's part of TradingView's inbuilt features, so it is quicker by default. Serial correlation of returns and absolute momentum consistently delivers. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I think it does. Can you talk a bit about your RSI and the other on the bottom? Don't know what it is, MacD? No. Is private to Paragon Group? No, that you can get both of those publicly. That's Awesome Oscillator. So Awesome Oscillator is just 2 EMAs and the difference between them, but it's that there, just flatlined. So it would look like this, if that makes sense. That's all it is. And what you're typically looking for is divergence in Awesome Oscillator, i.e. momentum going down, whilst price is making high highs. And that's kind of it. So that and that. There are some nuances to it. There are some nuances to RSI as well, but it's similar principles, both very public in terms of the base behind these. That is the default Awesome Oscillator, and that is just a slightly customized one that just gives you some coloring. And it really, for me, it's like, is it at an extreme? Should you be fading this? Should you be joining this trend potentially? You know, what is going on, and how are you positioning into this? You know, if you're fading, if you're shorting, and the RSI is at that 50 level, then you are taking, in my opinion, like a very binary bet, or 50-50 bet that it's going to go down. And actually, you know, unless you've got a good sorry, I'll draw it the other way around. Unless you've got a kind of reason to think that, you know, it's not going to break because we've basically held under that 50 every other time, you know, like, and the momentum in the chart looks like this, you know, market structure's in your favor, and actually this just looks like a higher low, and actually you're there, and, you know, well, maybe we get another leg down, but this is starting to look a bit shocking, you know. That kind of thought process to me is just, I like, rather, extremes to trade at. Too negative to touch, look hard at TRB all day. Any chance you could put a link for my spaghetti model? Actually can. I literally can't dump it on YouTube because my streaming thing. Well, if you go over to my Twitch, I'm not trying to shill you onto a different platform, but I've put it on my Twitch. It's on my Twitch chat, so twitch.tv/BTC_Charlie. Yeah, it's private, mate. Private, I'm afraid, but you can literally just type in RSI and you'll get something similar. So yeah, I mean, for me, TRB is a kind of difficult one to trade in this kind of uptrend. Well, it's not actually. It's bullshit. I've traded it loads of times. What I mean is, you kind of have to convince yourself to just long and just play like trend continuation, and it is, you know, you don't have clean ranges and levels to play from necessarily, but you know, you have to play those that trend continuation and just keep going until it's done. But I mean, quite clearly, it is one of the stronger coins on a lower time frame basis. And given the fact that BCH, BSV, which both have the Bitcoin kind of narrative or the Bitcoin ETF narrative with it, and TRB is the only one keeping up with them, you know, that in my opinion is pretty fucking strong. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big cartel push on TRB to $30 or something like that. But equally, when I tried to do the same for Tomo the other day, which is this thought process, with bullish market structure, basically meme diagonal up, and I longed somewhere up here. I think I basically longed at the top because as soon as I got a full size position, the coin just went like that and just died, and I contributed to that wonderful candle. But you know, you win some, you lose some. And I try and talk about losses as well, so that you don't get the false impression that I win every trade that I take. I do not. Have you been following the spell bid with Next Cartel? Yeah, we talked about that earlier, mate. I didn't dwell on it too much, but yeah, it's pretty mad. So yeah, is there any questions, any comments, any queries, any general celebrations of BTC Charlie, or I'll probably stay on for another couple of minutes and we're getting a little move on the daddy Gorn. There we go. Strong. Later, shall we? Finally, some volatility. RNDR, CLO BCH holding pretty strong. What's my personal min RR per trade? Ooh, that's a tough question because I don't do it just like this and be like, oh, I have to have X or Y. So if I have a very clean and good rotation, you know, I can't like this, like even this, right? Let's pretend like this is a hindsight example, but let's pretend this is an altcoin and we're sat in this, and that's a consolidation, and then I see, all right, it gets some relative strength, and I'm thinking about like this. I'm not necessarily thinking of this in terms of 2.5R. Let's round up a little bit, right? I'm thinking about this in terms of where it is relative to the rest of the market, my position size there, and how much I want to lose. Because some of these I'll trade up to like here, right? Because I'll be able to manage that position and ride that trend pretty well. And other times it will just absolutely do nothing, go nowhere. I'll get out of break even, or I'll take the full L, right? So it's quite difficult for me just to say I have to take a 2.5R trade every single time. Whereas what I will look at is, I will look at that, not necessarily in a long-short ratio, not long-short ratio, what the fuck am I on about? Not as in a, RR perspective like this, but as in, if I am longing effectively into resistance, a massive high time frame resistance, if I'm longing into something like, which I do, FYI. If I'm longing into something like this because I can see that there's a bit of compression, a bit of change in market structure there, I'm taking a position there. Like, I'm also looking at what would my high time frame target be? What's my ridiculous kind of breakout level if it goes? A good example of that we went over on stream before was Zacro, when we talked that through. Like that, like levels, meme levels, big meme levels. big meme levels. Rip through it all. So it's quite difficult to say that my standard trade is XR. If that makes sense. So I tend to manage it based on position sizing and just my risk of that trade in front of me, not necessarily the upside potential of that trade. But I've probably said a little bit too much. What's the most and what's the least bullish argument for crypto by time frame? That's a very good question. I kind of want to think about this. That's a really good question. Most bullish, unironically, is probably the destabilization of global currencies and the notion that the next generation is going to want something that is a little bit more finite in terms of supply. I think that that would trigger, if there was that kind of national rush to adopt BTC, or when companies or pension funds or whatever starts targeting BTC and they start accumulating it and putting it as part of a balanced portfolio, we start seeing it, being adopted as part of a standard, what is it in America, like 401k, and I think that's probably the next big step for crypto as a whole. I think the least bullish argument for crypto is that it's probably just been so rife with scams. It's been so done in terms of 2020, 2021. Like, nobody that I know doesn't know what crypto is. Everyone kind of knows what it is and just chooses to participate or not. And there's a lot of entitlement in the space that because I'm here, I'm now going to be a multi-millionaire through simple participation in this market, because we're definitely going to have another cycle and it's definitely going to be just as easy as 2021 and everything's going to go absolutely mad. We're going to have the same levels of participation as when the whole world shut down, and not only did the whole world shut down, the whole world got stimulus checks. It was at the lowest levels of interest rates in human history, and people not only could afford their mortgages, but they could afford several mortgages if they wanted one. And I don't think we're ever going to have that recipe of a discovery of an asset class and the influx of cheap money in our lifetimes. So yeah, you can cry yourself to sleep on that one. Sorry, boys. Good night, Dominic. I'll see you on Friend Time. Is that a good answer? It's an answer. Fair enough, thank you. Kind of agree about the scam part. Most always I mean talk about the scam. Yeah, Corona printing seems unlikely to come back. I mean, there's another view, which is they're always going to print money, and they always have to print money at some point in time, which is basically the way the economy is designed, and I kind of get that as well. And when we transition back to a fully risk-on environment, there will be kind of a time to buy and just hold. And I think if you're asking me where we're at in terms of general cycles, I would say we are still, we are still in a proverbial bear market, and this was the kind of aggressive sell-off, and this, let's actually just go to a time frame. This is what you would call an echo bubble, and it might be copium on my part, but I still think we either sweep these lows and come back, and there's a really nice trade to take in terms of invalidation. And actually we get a bit of a range, and then maybe we go somewhere. I don't know if it takes this long. I've got no idea of time horizons. I'm not trying to macro laugh or do any bullshit like that. But if you're asking me, do I think this is a bull market? No. Do I think it's been an incredible environment to trade in? Absolutely. There have been some incredible opportunities. But do I think it's probably going to end like this? Or like this? Yeah, I think so. And you know, I'm getting bearish here at essentially lows and essentially the 25k high time frame pivot level. From a weekly chart perspective, that doesn't look too bad. We've held up quite a few times, but yeah. Current cycle is turn off streaming, please. Yes. Okay, I have my orders. Let's go. You're not even on Steam, Magus. Hey. Do you think crypto could also live through cycles over and over, like traditional markets, for a long time, like 5 or 10 more cycles? Yeah, 100%. I think, don't get me wrong, I think there will be... That's only a gaming PC. Yeah, do it. Don't get me wrong, I think there will be cycles, I just think they will be harder to play. I think the entitlement comes from everybody printing in 2020 and 2021, right? And it doesn't really matter what you did. You just fucking made money, you just find it in your wallet. It got airdropped like millions and millions of dollars just for doing fuck all. Whereas I don't think, it will be as easy ever again. That doesn't mean that you cannot make money. That's my only scare about trading. That now, before regulations, only good time for trading. I feel FOMO so bad. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but regulation doesn't mean the death of it, right? I mean, it could mean the death of it, but I don't think it will. But that's my view and my take, right? And what you might find is that actually, it might progress things in such a way that the amount of Ponzi's that you can gamble on is very limited, and that concentration of liquidity actually makes a better trading environment for crypto. So you can look at it in two ways, right? And I think it's very difficult for them to actually regulate, to actually stop me loading up my PC and chucking it on Uniswap. Crypto brokerage model eventually overtake exchange model. Yeah, I like that view on ChainCat, you're probably right. So I wouldn't necessarily see it as a bad thing. That's my point. And actually, if you get the regulation in terms of Bitcoin, you get ETF approval and blah blah blah, and it all starts kicking off from a TradFi perspective, adopting BTC, then maybe we do actually dump on TradFi's heads. On-chain stuff will stay in the Wild West. Yes, it will. Right. Well. That is more than I intended to do. So thank you all very much for your support. If you enjoyed the stream, drop a like, drop a sub if you're on YouTube, or a follow if you're on Twitch. If you love my content and you have a few shekels spare on Friends Tech, jump on in. Or if you want to join the Paragon group, links are below. I hope you've learned something. And I do try and keep it a balance of educational content, a little bit of humour, and just some generally nice vibes, I think. That's what I aim for anyway. But let me know if there's anything you guys want to see, like I do this content for you lot. And yeah, until next week, I will peace out with my theme tune. Au revoir.
He's BTC Charlie with his linguini charting. He loses sometimes, but hardly. He's BTC Charlie. But now he's GBP Charlie. It doesn't matter what he's charting, His trading is tough, but it's not all that bad with Charlie. He's got memes in the morning and more in the evening. It's Charlie. And when trading gets hard and support starts to lean, search Charlie.